Louisville, Kentucky came up and stopped Sonny Liston, the man who annihilated Floyd Patterson twice. He was going to kill me. But he hit harder than George. His reach was longer than George. He's a better boxer than George. And I'm better now than I was when you saw that 22-year-old undeveloped kid running from Sonny Liston. I'm experienced now, professional. Jaw's been broke, been lost, knocked down a couple times. I'm bad. Been chopping trees. I done something new for this fight. I done wrestled with an alligator. That's right. I have wrestled with an alligator. I done tussled with a whale. I done handcuffed lightning, throw thunder in jail. That's bad. Only last week, I murdered a rock, injured a stone, hospitalized a brick. I'm so mean, I make medicine sick.
Man, dude.
Yeah.
Ain't no doubt.
Fast. Last night, I cut the light off my bedroom, hit the switch, was in the bed before the room was dark.
Incredible.
Fast.
Incredible.
And you, George Foreman, all of you chumps are gonna bow when I whoop him. All of you. I know you got him. I know you got him picked, but the man's in trouble. I'm gonna show you how great I am.
Is how you would define the key characteristics of effective leadership that allow you to go and be an advocate for good.
Trust. The longer I have been in public service and the more people have asked me about leadership over the years, leadership ultimately comes down to creating conditions of trust within an organization. Good leaders are people who are trusted by followers. Leaders take organizations past the level that the science of management says is possible. One of my sergeants back in the infantry school at Fort Benning almost 50 years ago, which is where I learned everything I ever got to learn about leadership, was at the infantry school. And he said to me one day, he said, "Lieutenant, you'll know you're a good leader when people follow you, if only out of curiosity." I've never had a better definition. Because what he was saying, and I've seen it experienced in my life so many times. What he was saying is they trust you. And you have built up that trust. How did you do it? Clear mission and statement, selfless service. People look to you and they trust you because you're serving selflessly as the leader, not self-serving, selflessly. And that you prepare the followers, you train them. You give them what they need to get the job done. Don't give them a job if you're not going to give them the resources, and that you're prepared to take the risks with them. And so they would teach us at the infantry school, no matter how cold it is, Lieutenant, you must never look cold. No matter hungry you all are, Lieutenant, you must never appear hungry. No matter how terrified you are, Lieutenant, you must never look terrified. Because if you are scared, terrified, hungry, and cold, they will be scared, terrified, hungry, and cold. I've gotten away with that many, many times in the course of my career by being scared to death, cold, and wanting to go to sleep. But no, let's go. Let's keep going. Let's go around this corner, if only out of curiosity. And they'll follow you into the darkest night, down the deepest valley, up the highest hill, if they trust you.
Welcome to Confessions of a Dawg, episode 6. In this episode, we're going to be focused more on management and becoming the best leader possible. Enjoy. All right. This is Who Cares Podcast, hosted by your boy, Tim O. Powell. Hopefully everybody's having a wonderful, gracious day today, and hopefully everybody's dreams and aspirations are being reached, and hopefully every goal that you seek for is coming to fruition as soon as possible for you. But this is going to be Management 102. Oh yeah. So, time for me to get my manager bag for this episode, and that's what we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do. All right. So, Emil, let's start with the topic. Let's see what topic are we gonna start with. Why all managers should have some type of HR training. We're gonna start off with why every manager should always have some sort of HR training. Okay, so as a manager, one of the hardest things that I personally remember going through my process of management was the time frame where you have to let someone go. You have to let someone go. Now, one of the main reasons behind the fact of letting someone go is basically because someone is not performing at the task, the work task, at the rate that you believe they should be performing it, and you got individuals who are just not have the ability to work well with others. They got 1,000,001 different reasons why you get to a point to where you have to let someone go when a situation comes for that time. But one thing a lot of managers have to understand is there's a whole bunch of different facets that you have to make sure that you have taken care of before you run the risk of letting someone go and holding the company liable for things like unemployment claims or even lawsuits. And HR 101 tried to make sure they indulge that type of information to their managers to ensure that, hey, if it ever gets to a point to where you ever have to let someone go, if you have to terminate someone for work performance, for conduct detrimental to the company, we want to make sure that we have all our ducks in a row in case, so we won't be held liable for any type of additional charges or having to pay this employee outside of them not working for our establishment anymore. So they tried to ensure, and this is all my based on my personal experience, they tried to make sure they have all the ducks covered and all their bases covered in regards of when it's time to let someone go. And one of the things they always tell you that it is a step process in regards of letting someone go. You have different type of counsels that goes into the evaluation of letting someone go, and many different companies have many different code of conduct policies to where they go about getting to the point to where they want to terminate someone. And to be honest with you, most companies have their conduct and have their policies set up to where termination is the last resort. But see, when you have situations, and that's when the manager have to ensure that they place themselves in situations where they're not emotionally involved or feel like they want to be emotionally involved within their employees, that they don't skip certain steps that can hold the company liable. For example, you got now the standard counseling formations that a lot of companies utilize is where they have up to 5 different type of counsels before it gets to a point to where termination is a decision that is made. You have the coaching session, which is, and by the way, all of these counsels must be documented, okay? Every time you have a counsel with someone, anytime you have a counsel with an employee, you always document every session, every counsel. It don't matter if it's a verbal, it don't matter if it's a coaching session, it don't matter if it's a written warning, a final written, whatever the case is, you always document every counsel that you have with the individual. And as you are documenting it, make sure that you are putting the accurate reason for counseling that's safe for individuals or employee. So some of the most standard examples that I'm going to have with counseling an employee is, first you have a coaching session. A coaching session is the first, basically the first sign of recognition that, hey, this is a problem and I'm bringing this to your attention to ensure that you understand that I believe this is a problem, this is something that you need to work on. That's the coaching counsel. Then you have a verbal warning. which is another documentation. You let the individual know that, hey, we already went through the first process of a coaching session to let you know that this is a problem, and this problem is still something that's being showcased after a certain amount of time. So now we're documenting and we're showing you that this is your first verbal warning. Then you go and you have a written warning if the situation continues. Okay, so that's the third time. You have a written warning. Now it's a scenario to where you having a paper trail showcasing to people like, unemployment benefits, possibly, or even lawyers, showing that, hey, we've been doing our due diligence to ensure this employee that the issue has been problematic. And I tell you, first and foremost, it has to be the same problem. Okay, for example, you can't have a coaching session with someone regarding a rule violation and then try to have a verbal warning for their attendance. Okay, that's two different scenarios and two different situations, which will result in two separate counsels. Okay, a lot of managers get that point of view confused, believing that you just go down each step going based off what type of counsel that the individual have. No. So when I'm speaking on this particular situation right now, as far as counseling, this is all the steps that's going on in regards of the same infraction. It has to be the same infraction. Okay. So I want to make sure that's clear. I want to make sure that's stated clearly. But after you have your written warning, most companies have a final written warning. Now, a final written warning is the very last step before suspension, i.e. termination, may be the very next step, showcasing that the employee is showing showing that they're not really working towards getting to fixing up the situation that's becoming a problem for the employee and naturally becoming a problem for the business flow and the nature of the business. All right. And then after the final written warning, you usually have a suspension, and once a employee is suspended, there's a good chance 9 times out of 10 they're going to be terminated. But as a manager and as a HR personnel, you have made sure that you have followed every step possible to ensure that you gave your employee every unique situation to fix their behavior in an adequate amount of time. But a lot of individuals who don't have the proper knowledge and the proper training in regards of formally dismissing an employee usually find themselves being in a position where they're being held to a certain liability, and that certain unemployment benefits have to be paid out, or even at worst case scenarios, lawsuits happen, is based on the fact that the managers usually put the emotions too much invested into their business and into somebody else's business. Because a lot of managers, we got to understand, and I had this issue back when I was in management. I got to a point to where I was so focused on managing the business that I had to make a realization that, hey, this is not my business at the end of the day. I am just an employee of this business, which means I am just as replaceable as the individuals that I'm trying to show, or individuals that I'm trying to convince that they're replaceable. Because at the end of the day, when it comes down to businesses, and I'm quite sure if you put any CEO or any owner on a lie detector test, they would tell you they would much rather not terminate an employee, especially a good employee, but on the fact that you're going to terminate a good employee and then I'm still going to have to pay this individual after terminating him based off the fact that the manager didn't follow the proper protocols and the proper procedures in regards of making sure that the company isn't being held liable. They're going to be pretty upset about that scenario. Pretty upset. I know I would. We're gonna also talk about some of the reasons of counsels and some of summaries of acceptable behaviors that can be showcased as reasonable counsels for writing an employee up. And I'm going to break it down because I understand a lot of managers and a lot of people in management positions really don't know the true definition of the words like insubordination, doesn't truly know the true nature definition of work quality, rule violations, attendance, things like that. So we're going to break this down step by step, okay? And that's something that I'm going to break down on this episode, okay? So first thing first, what we're going to speak about is the term insubordination. Insubordination. What does insubordination means? What does it mean? Everybody has their different definitions of it, but what does insubordination truly means? Okay. The insubordination meaning when it pertains to workplace behavior is as follows. An employee or manager who is unwilling to act on a workplace superior's command and directives when the employee understands what is expected from them. An employee who uses disrespectful language. An employee or manager who uses disrespectful language or actions towards supervisors and or subordinates. Let me read that one more time. An employee or manager who is unwilling to act on a workplace superior's commands and directives when the employee understands what is expected from them. An employee or manager who uses disrespectful languages. Like, I work in a warehouse atmosphere, right? The example. So, in the warehouse atmosphere, you have a lot of individuals that do a lot of playing around, a lot of joking around, things like that. And I never was the one that really indulged into that type of behavior. I was always been a person that liked to keep things on a professional level. No matter, how good you are with a person, no matter how cool you are with a person, I feel like a manager should never call an employee or a subordinate a punto, a bitch, or any vulgar type name. I don't believe that's ever any place within any type of establishment where certain languages and certain vulgar languages should ever be utilized. I believe there's a time and a place for everything, and I'm a firm believer that in a business setting, in an establishment, is not a place or a time where any type of vulgar language or any type of language that could be viewed as disrespectful should be utilized. I don't care how okay any employee is with it. Me personally, I just don't believe in that, because I believe it holds the company liable. And I believe, and just me as a person, not even just about the company, it's just me as an individual. I'm very big on respect and and trying not to disrespect anyone. So, and I believe using vulgar language, and I believe using language in a open atmosphere that could be used as embarrassing or be looked at as a way of demasculating someone is something that I never would want to participate in. But let's talk about the insubordination point, right? Now, a lot of managers and a lot of employees don't know the true definition and the true meanings behind the words insubordination. They believe that if I tell you to do something and you don't do it at that very moment, that's insubordination. No, it's not. No, it's not insubordination, buddy. No, it's not. Because let me give you an example of something, right? Say an employee's start time is 5 o'clock, right? Everybody on this shift, you start at 5 o'clock, right? Hey, employee B, you can start at 4:30. So employee B can start at 4:30. Hey, employee A, I told you the start time was 5 o'clock. You're being insubordinate. No, he's not. You're being inconsistent. Because the only time insubordination can be utilized as a reason for counseling on someone when it's a clear code of conduct procedure that is in place and written down that all employees and all subordinates are aware of and that it is signed off on. And plus, it's 2022. So obviously, we don't need to get into the formalities on, saying and doing things, asking someone to do something that's unethical to the company's code of conduct policies and things like that. So, but a lot of managers got that situation. We don't even got to speak on that, but a lot of managers got that confused. But see, that's when you have a situation to where some of the best managers got to make sure they're very, very emotionally sound. They're very, very much in control of their emotions. You have to be. In order for you to be the best manager and possibly in life and to make smart, conducive decisions, you cannot allow your emotions to get involved of how you feel at that moment, especially in regards of holding the company liable when you do things like that. That's why I was always a big person that believed that anybody that's taking a position, a management position, you should never have any type of personal relationship with anybody at your job. Period. You should never have any type of personal relationship with anybody at your job when you are in a position of leadership. I don't care how cool the person is. I don't care how much y'all get along. I don't care how much y'all vibe or whatnot. You shouldn't even put yourself in a position where you can find out if y'all vibe or not, personally, in my personal opinion. Because it puts you in a position to where your judgment is clouded. You start doing things that you don't even realize you're doing as far as favorable situations for people that you're having a personal relationship with. That's why anytime when I was in a position of management, I never had a personal relationship with anyone that I worked with, especially as a subordinate. Right. So let's continue on though, because I don't want to. But that's not insubordination. Back to my example from what I was utilizing. That's not insubordination. If you're going to have a rule in place, then you must have the rule in place for everyone on your respective department. There is no exceptions. There is no exceptions. Okay? There's no exceptions, period. And also, if you're going to have a scenario to where, say you're going through the process to where you are terminating someone, always make sure that all your ducks is in a row in regards of the reason behind. You can't have one reason for a write-up and another reason for a separation, okay? That's what it is. And now, unless it's a situation like workplace violence or employee punched somebody in the face or was being tremendously disrespectful towards another employee as far as sexual harassment or workplace violence. Those are the only two exceptions to immediate terminations in reality. That's the only really exception to immediate termination is workplace violence, you punch somebody in the face, or sexual harassment. A male makes a derogatory or a sexual motivated comment towards a female or another male or anybody. You know what I'm saying? Anybody, because it ain't just male or female. It could be a man making sexual advances at another man. So anytime you have a situation where someone is placed in a position of uncomfortability, that is the only terms to where it is placed for immediate termination. And managers are included in that. I have been in positions and situations when I heard managers tell other managers to suck their you know what. And I was befuddled by it. I was flabbergasted by it. I'm like, you should be walked out of this environment right now. Why are you talking to your subordinates this way? Why are you telling your subordinates that they're a bees? Why are you telling your subordinates that to suck your you know what? Like, why are you doing that? First of all, it's disgusting. And most importantly, it's unprofessional. It's unprofessional. What are what are the main things about? What are some of the best things that managers do, the best managers do, they make sure they document everything and make sure they have all their ducks in line, because they don't want to ever put themselves in the position to where they could be looked at as the individual who messed up a situation or placed the company liable or put the company in a bad position or whatnot, right? And you see that a lot of times in a lot of situations that is going on now is where a lot of companies are losing their battles with things like unemployment claims, because most of the time we have the wrong people in the positions that they should not be in. Experience does not bring wisdom. You could be doing something for over 20 or 30 years and not know what the hell you're doing. You can be doing something for over 20 or 30 years and still not know what the hell you're doing, because you chose not to enlighten yourself. You chose not to put yourself in a position to where you can learn more, and to ensure that you're not held in a position to where you are holding the company liable based on your own emotional behaviors. And that's something the best managers must understand. It's not about your ego. It's about what's best for the company and what's best to make sure that the company is in a position where they're not held and liable or have to deviate and have to disperse additional monies that they don't need to disperse. See, when certain managers allow their emotions to get involved, they try to bypass many steps and processes. They try to bypass many necessary scenarios to ensure that they try to reach whatever goal that they're trying to reach. If a upset manager wants to get rid of an employee, he's going to always hold the company liable and put the company in a position to where they can be looked at as liable, because he's going to be so in a rush to get rid of that employee based on their own emotional inconsistencies. You can't have emotions involved when you're being a manager. I'm sorry. You're not human anymore when you decide that you want to be a manager. You need to be a robot, buddy. And you need to be in control of your emotions in all situations. You need to have a complete understanding on what's your company's code of conduct policies, and what are some of the procedures and the guidelines that they have that is embarked in their employee handbook, and know it like the back of your hand. You have to know that rules. You have to know the rules of the companies that you're getting a paycheck from. Because if you don't, then you might as well go ahead and just be a regular hourly employee. Because only hourly employees don't give a damn about guidelines. Only hourly employees don't give a damn about what the procedures are. Because they don't have to. They're hourly. They're not a real representation of the company, if we're going to be honest. But when you're in a position of leadership, you're in a different level now. You're at a different playing field now. You have a different level of responsibilities. I can't stand seeing some of the managers who hang out with their subordinates after hours. Why are you hanging out with them? You're putting up a very inconsistent and a very gray area type of relationship standard. You got to keep people at certain bays. Especially if it's people that you work with. You have to keep them at a certain bay. Because you never know when a situation might come when you might have to fire them. And some of the worst feeling in the world, and I'm telling you from personal experience, some of the worst feeling in this world is having to fire someone that you allows yourself to have a personal relationship with. So in order for you not to put yourself in that position, you know what you do? You don't do it. And if you're going to do it, make sure that you're fully aware of what steps and what procedures that you have to take in regards of trying to do your best to ensure that that employee is doing what's necessary to keep the company at the highest productivity level as possible. So if a situation was to come where you had to unfortunately terminate them, that you have all your ducks in a row. You don't skip processes just based off the fact that you're emotionally unstable. I went through this whole little step process just now about what the standard counseling is for most establishments and most companies. And what it is, let me make sure I made my notes. Coaching session, verbal, written, final, suspension, then termination. That is 6 steps. And you can't skip 2 of the steps because you are intimidated by employees. See, that's one thing about being the best manager. You have to, first of all, be emotionally sound, and you cannot recognize intimidation. A manager must exhort the utmost level of confidence. You must be cool, collective, and confident at all times, especially on the workplace. That's the only way you build certain credentials with your subordinates. That's the only way you build certain credentials with the people around you. They got to know that you're calm. They got to know that you're confident. And they got to know that you know what the heck you're doing. You cannot be emotionally distressed anytime situations come your way or anytime you be challenged. Anytime you be challenged, the first thing you do is get in your emotions. That is not what great managers do. That's not what they do. They're always calm. You never let them see you sweat. And you don't skip processes just so you can try to get someone out the way. That's one thing. And that could be a very, very shaky. Oh boy, I'm about to get my hold on. I'm about to get my bag on OC. I'm about to get my bag, bro. I'm about to get my bag. So hold on. Before I continue on, let's go ahead. Let's take a little break. Let's take a little bitty break right now, cause I can feel myself about to get in my bag. And when I get in my management bag, oh my God, it's crazy. But let's take a little break. This is Who Cares Podcast, hosted by your boy Tim O'Thau, and this is Management 102. All managers need to have some type of experience regarding HR. Do not just rely on the people of HR, but actually go learn it. Become it. Entice yourself in your handbook. That way you don't hold your company liable. This is Who Cares Podcast, and we'll be back in 1 second, ladies and gentlemen.
2 kinds of people born in the hospital every day. There's a person born in the hospital that's going to get a job, and there's a person born in the hospital that's going to give that person the job. You have to decide along the way which one you're going to be. You can be a leader, but a leader is a developed set of skills. It's a developed set. And the more, but see, here's what stops the average person from being a leader is the fear of the consequences of leading. Most people don't want the responsibility of being a leader. But let me tell you the trick though. The responsibility and ramifications and consequences of being a follower is more dire and more severe. Because now, as a follower, you just got to go along with whatever. You know how many adjustments you got to make when you're a follower? But the man come in and decide I'm having layoffs, and he hand you a slip and it's Christmas. What? That wasn't in your plans, but you decided you didn't want to be a leader, you want to be a follower. Now guess what? You got to deal with that. If I'm a leader and I own a company and the company start losing money, you think I'm fitting to not have my life? No. Cutbacks start on the follow road. The leaders don't go, well, let me quit. Because if I quit, ain't nobody eating. The cutbacks start at the bottom. So you have to make a decision if you're going to be a leader or not. But understand what a leader is, though. Sometimes you just really want to be the leader of your own life. See, you don't have to lead a world leader. I have no aspirations of being Martin Luther King. I have no aspirations of being Gandhi. None whatsoever. I had really no aspirations of being the leader that I've become today. That I got young men listening to me that I wasn't even really counting on. I got dudes emailing me, man, running up to me, man, at Essence. This brother ran up to me and Terrence was stopping him from talking to me. And the big brother, about 300-some pounds, sweating, had a chef coat on, had a thermometer pen, sweating all over the place. He had seen me come off stage, saw me go through the back. He ran all the way around to meet me. And Terrence, stand down, soldier. Well, this big dude right here ain't with that. He said, hey, little man, come on now. Ain't nobody got time for all this here. I'm trying to holler at this man right here. Because you don't know what I've been through. Stand down, soldier. Little man, before this turned into something else, I got to see him today. His whole thing was he was a prison inmate down in New Orleans, had been listening to me on the radio since 2005. Did his 5 years, got out the joint, started studying in prison food prep, because he said, man, you told me one morning you ain't gotta sit there and do nothing. You can better yourself from behind the wall and make one plan on not to come back. He said, you changed my whole life. He said, I come to tell you, man, I'm the chef right now at the Hilton. But the big dude was just crying. You know, we end up hugging. I cried with him because, you know, I be feeling people like that. I have no idea, nor did I have an aspiration to be an inspirational person to them. But I have always asked God in my own way to make me a relevant person. You know, I don't want to be a cat that when I die, there ain't nobody.
We're living. No, I can't sing. Okay, all right. Okay, back to serious. Professional. Tim. Woosah. Tim, you gotta be professional all the time. All right, so we're talking about management, right? Management. But I'm not gonna indulge too much on the some of the things that a proper manager should always do to ensure that they don't hold the company liable or put the company in a position where they'll be held liable in any situations. We're right now going to talk about your responsibility as a manager. What your responsibility is as a manager. See, a large issue with a lot of managers and what a lot of them don't take into consideration when they choose to become managers is it's not just about the money. It's not just about the money. You got so many individuals that's running awesome companies around this world. I'm talking about awesome companies. I happen to work for one of them. Awesome companies. Awesome family-based, family-valued, respectful, just honest, beautiful companies, man. I made a post online on my Instagram, and I said on that post, let me find it right quick, y'all, because y'all know how I do on Who Cares podcast. I don't script nothing. I just go off my not emotions, but my intellect. I posted, one bad apple don't take away the awesome tree experience. You never liked me, and that's okay. One bad apple don't take away the awesome tree experience. You never liked me, and that's okay. See, that's the thing about being a manager and being in control of your emotions and be at a place of confidence within yourself and with your abilities and what you bring to the table. and not taking positions based off money. Money is awesome. I love money. I want to do my best to try to accumulate as much of it as possible. But when I was in positions to where I took on a management, a leadership role, I had to understand that money was not the main corporate behind my motivation of being the best manager that I can be. You have to be able to, and not just willing, but inspired to uplift as many people that works with you as possible. And then the money will come. If you take the same approach and the same tenacity and the same motivation that it takes to motivate and build people within your department and within your establishment, the money is going to come because you're doing it organically. And one thing a manager should never be is intimidated. It don't matter who comes within your realms, your realms within your establishment, who the company hires, because you can't control who the company hires. The company is going to hire who they're going to hire. But you as a manager got to be at the utmost confidence in your ability to where you don't allow those emotions to leak out publicly, because it leaks out publicly. People know when you're intimidated by someone else. Your mannerisms, the way you talk, the way you act around that person, your ability to converse with that person, and your body language when you are conversing with that person. A manager always got to be the coolest person in the room. A manager got to always be the coolest person in the room. No matter what the situation is, no matter what scenarios or what's going on around, a manager never allows, especially their subordinates, to see themselves fold or see themselves weaken under the pressure of another person. They never do that. You can check my background. You can check anything around me. Ask anybody who ever been around me that's been in place in situations that could be utilized as a way of very stressful situation, and they'll tell you how Tim kept his composure. They'll tell you how Tim kept his cool. Because I know I'm built for it. I just don't want to do it no more at this moment. But just because I don't want to do something at this moment doesn't mean I can't give the proper knowledge and the proper guidance to people to ensure that they put themselves in the best position. And not only put themselves in the best position, that they don't put the company in a bad position. That's one thing. People used to always call me that. Oh man, you so company man, you so this and that. No, I'm a representation. It's my reputation that's on the line more so than the company's reputation. It's my reputation. Especially at work. Especially at work. My abilities, my workman abilities is a gift and a curse, because you don't have to manage me. But I understand when people realize that they don't have to manage someone, when someone is self-manageable or someone is self-motivated, it's hard. Because you always looking at the back of your head like, is he coming from my position? Is he coming for my title? I can't let him take my title. But if you are confident in yourself, if you're confident in the work that you bring, you never worry about if anybody else can take your position, because nobody can do what you do. That's how you're going to feel in your head. That's how I always felt. Nobody can do what I do. They can come in, they can try to drive this, they can come here, they can try to do this, they can try to do that, but it won't be the same aura. They won't get the same response. They won't get the same response from people that I give them. Because I'm a person who always have been really confident in my abilities, because I know what God blessed me with, man. That's what every manager got to feel like. I'm seeing managers being nervous, talking to somebody, can't look them in the eye. If you have the ability where you can't look someone in the eye when you're talking to them, you should not be a manager. You're not confident in yourself. So how are you going to try to breed confidence in someone else? Because that's what a manager does. A manager breeds confidence in people. They breed confidence in people. How you going to breed confidence in someone when you don't have the confidence? It makes no sense. Some people are born with it, but some people understand what their shortness is, and they try their best to follow the steps possible to become better. Not everybody is born with a certain aura. Not everyone is born with a certain spirit within them that just spills out, relaxed confidence and just understanding on who they are. So what you got to do, you have to learn it. But if you don't put the time, you don't put the effort to learn it, you're going to always be placed in the same position. And just because it worked out for you for 20, 30 years doesn't mean you have done it correctly. And it always takes the right person to put that on display. And the right person always seems to come around. And he's always younger. He's always more energetic. He's always more just a lot of things. And a lot of us just can't accept that. That's why it's so important to be confident of who you are as a person and as a manager. That way you don't put yourself in positions where you look like a baby. Where you look like a crybaby. How many generals, how many people, even in military personnel, anybody you ever seen in the military, or anybody have any type of military background, especially if they was in a position of leadership, they stone cold. Just exhorts the common knowledge of just like composure, just motivating. And I have many relatives, family members, siblings, and that who inspired me to be confident, to be just relaxed, and just understand that, hey, you in control of all this. Don't let your environment control you. And we have too many situations and too many managers in these fine, great companies that is allowing environments to control them. There's a reason you were appointed a manager. Because that company felt like you can control the environment and you wouldn't let an environment get the best of you to where you look like a damn crybaby. Nobody likes a damn crybaby, especially someone who's a manager. It's a hard job. It's not easy. And that's one thing I be trying to ensure that a lot of people know before they take management positions. It is not easy. Do not believe ever in life that position is easy. It's not. You got to deal with multiple personalities. You got to deal with different type of individuals from different backgrounds, from different walks of life. Some people you have language barriers in. We live in a country where we so integrated with so many different nationalities and so many cultures. We're just a big old pot of gumbo, and you must be able to manage every type of personality without being disrespectful and without jumping certain steps and certain protocols that the company placed in line so you don't put the company held in an improper position. That's your job. See, the problem is a lot of the times where a lot of these managers are being baby fed and being spoon fed too much to where they actually believe the way they manage is the proper way. It's not. It's not. And I know, excuse my language, I'm not going on a rant, I'm not arguing, and I understand I'm getting very, loud, but I'm very passionate about this. I'm very passionate about this. I'm very passionate about this. I'm very passionate about managing. I'm very passionate about keeping people in the best headspace possible, but also at the same time being as professional and being as courteous and being as consistent as possible. If you're going to be a manager, you got to set the precedence for every employee in there, no matter what their position is. The person that's a janitor and the person that's the CEO, they always place in the same field with me. My respect does not go based on a person's title or my individual personal relationship with that person. Because if you're going to be a great manager, you shouldn't even have a personal relationship with anybody that you work with. To be honest with you, in my opinion, you shouldn't do it. Don't put yourself in a position where you cloud your own judgment. Being a manager is a commitment. And most of us just doing it for money. You're coming in there, you're working 2-3 days out the week. You're leaving without telling your subordinates. What type of example are you? What type of example are you? That's the one thing about being a manager, man. That is the most important part about being a manager. You gotta work, and you gotta live your entire life as if you're always being watched. So what you gonna do if you feel like you're always being watched? You're going to feel like you should always put the best representation of yourself. Especially if you are a manager. I can't stand managers with fucking group texts. I hate that shit. That's another thing I hate. A manager with a group text. Why you got a group text? Why you group texting with people? Why you group texting with your subordinates? Why are you doing that? Why are you talking crazy about your subordinates on your group texts? It's not professional. Not everybody works the same. Not everybody goes by the same mentality, man. What are you doing? You gotta keep a line of professionalism in every situation. Back when I was coming up, and back when I first got into the work field or whatnot, my managers were like they was like illusions. I couldn't get in contact with them. I couldn't just call my managers. I had to go through steps. I couldn't place my managers in group texts. I think we lost a lot of places, and I ain't gonna say companies, but just a lot of places, man, has lost. We just lost. We're just lost in regards of what the expectation should be and how we should react and how we should be in regards of being the best representation of the position that the company appointed us in. A lot of us get into this power struggle. A lot of us get in this our own egos. And we tend to forget that, hey, we work for somebody. We work for somebody. We are dependent on somebody to give us a check. So if I'm dependent on someone to give me a check, a company or the staff to give me a check, I'm going to do what's necessary to ensure I'm the best representation of that company. Just ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. I won't skip steps. I'm going to make sure I got all my ducks in a row. I'm not going to put the company in a position to where if I choose I have to terminate someone, that they won't come back and I will have to wind up paying unemployment benefits to this person. Because no company wants to terminate someone and then have to pay them after they terminated them. That makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. Is you dumb? Is you dumb? Come on, man. And okay, hold on. Calm down, Tim. Calm down. Don't let your emotions get ahead of you right now. I'm just so about, y'all don't understand. I'm so passionate about this, man. I'm so passionate about being the best representation. Your reputation sometimes is the only thing. And the last thing you want to do is have your reputation skewed by your own ego. Your own ego. Come on, man. That's one reason why I stopped going. I got out of the management field. Because I like to post shit on Facebook. I like to post shit on social media. I like to act an ass. But if you're a manager, you can't do that. And that leads me to my point when I say no manager should have or utilize social media. Why are you utilizing social media? Because you're going to automatically put yourself in situations to where you're going to follow the social media platforms of your subordinates, and it's going to cloud your judgment on how that person is personally, or what you think they are personally, and not looking at them from just who they are from a workplace standpoint. Because if you don't know, a lot of people jump on online and act like something they're not because it's for entertainment purposes only. But as a manager, as an unexperienced, as an unwise manager, don't matter how long you've been doing it, because experience doesn't bring wisdom. An unwise manager is going to utilize or see what a person is doing on social media platform, and then allow that to cloud their mind, incorporate who they are as a worker. That's why the best managers are not on social media. They're not using TikTok. They're not on Facebook. They're not on Instagram. They're not on this stuff. Because they have an understanding of what their responsibilities are. And they don't need anything to taint or tarnish their thought process. That's why certain people should not be managers. You can't even manage your own self. How you going to manage other people? You're utilizing social media platform to determine how you should look at a person without actually getting to know that person personally. And you wonder why you can't look people in the eyes when you're talking to them. You wonder why you get nervous when somebody questions you. You wonder why you get intimidated when you see someone come around that knows just as much or even more than you, that is younger than you, significantly younger than you. Because your mind is tainted. You focus on the wrong things. You should be, every great manager should always be focusing on progression. No matter how good situation's going, they should always be looking at what's the next step I could take to make this even better than what it is now. That's what a great manager do. That is the people that's supposed to be managers. The problem is a lot of us are taking these positions and taking these titles just based off money and want to give the bare minimum effort. No, it's a 24-hour process. You don't just put it on and turn it off. You're not hourly. You're salary. Because most managers are what? Salary. So you know what that means? Around the clock, you're on the clock. That's the commitment you made. That is the commitment you made. And if you don't believe you can accept that commitment, then guess what? Maybe you just need to step down, buddy. Maybe you just need to let someone else handle that position, because obviously you can't handle it. Okay, calm down, Tim, calm down. This is gonna be part 1. I got Management 102 part 2 coming on my next one. And we not done yet. We not done. We far from done. Far from done. We're gonna talk about some other stuff. We're going to talk about a whole lot of stuff, all right? A whole lot of stuff on regards of Management 102. This is Who Cares Podcast, hosted by your boy, Tim O. Dawg.
There's a birth date, there's a dash, and then there's a date of your demise. And let me tell you something. When you die, they're not going to talk about your birthday. They're not going to talk about the day you died. The biggest conversation will be about that dash, that little dash. That's the life you lived in the middle of that date of birth and the date of demise. That dash will determine who you are. But don't be ashamed to pray. And don't be too proud to pray. Because prayer changes things.
All right, hopefully you enjoyed this episode regarding leadership, and be ready for the next one. Enjoy.